The Eurozone's seemingly never-ending debt saga continues to dominate world headlines and haunt global financial markets. Here in London at the Credit Suisse Research Institute biannual meeting, we're zooming in on the main problems, potential solutions, and how Europe can get back on the path to growth.
The European summit news that have come out recently have brought four good news. One was the confirmation that there is going to be a single supervisory body. The second one is that we should be expecting direct recapitalization from ESM to banks as a possibility. That's important. The third one was the non-preferred status of loans, ESM loans. That's very important as well. And there has even been a surprise announcement, which was the improvement of Irish conditions on existing loans.
What I think I see investors doing, quite understandably, is tending to think that there will be either a dramatic breakup or a dramatic solution, or there must be soon. And I think neither of those propositions is actually what we're going to see. We're going to see a cycle of sort of stress that leads to some solutions, some relief, with the ECB playing a big role because the politicians can't provide the final solution in time. And so we, as investors, we need in some ways to try to figure out when the next cycle of relief will be on, how long that will last, and then we should be quite clear that a final solution to this problem is going to take quite a long time.
Do I think the euro will collapse and disappear? Emphatically, I do not. Do I think there's a chance at some stage in the next few years that one nation, possibly two, might leave the Eurozone? I think that is possible.
We asked members of the Research Institute how Europe can overcome the problems.
There is no way to muddle through this situation, as it seems to have been the case over the last 2 years. I think we have got to the point in which very fundamental decisions to advance the European project have to be taken.
Supply-side reform in the southern states, absolutely essential. But that, of course, will take many years. And in order that they can do that, they'll need an enormous amount of subsidy, probably over a decade, from other states in the north.
One of the big challenges is that Hollande has just been elected. He doesn't have a working relationship with Merkel, but there will be a compromise, in my view.
We also wanted to know what Europe can do to get back on the path to growth.
One thing that's very difficult is that Europe at the moment is implementing the Basel III proposals, and they are essentially deflationary. So that makes it much harder to get back into growth. It would be helpful if the euro were to decline in value. That certainly would make a big difference. If the Basel recommendations were eased in more slowly, that would help as well.
Going back on the path to growth in Europe is associated with much more. It is associated with structural reforms, with fiscal budgets that need to be still tightened. And on the structural reforms, a lot has to do with labor markets. A lot has to do with competitiveness. This is a process that is longer and that has to be continued in terms of focus.
Finally, we asked how the European debt crisis might continue to have an impact on other parts of the world.
As I said before, the modeling through of this situation, I don't think is an option now. Either they do it or they break it. And I think they are going to do it. And that will mean that we will have in front of us the possibility of Europe retaking some economic growth that will have a positive impact in the rest of the world. Now, if we have a major headache or even a major catastrophe in Europe, particularly in the European Monetary Union, the pain is going to be felt all over the world.
With that background, investors, when they are in the gloomy part of the cycle, when they're doubting politicians and doubting solutions, tend to get paralyzed. It has a very big impact on economic growth and in Europe itself, but also on confidence globally. And you can see that the Chinese, the Americans, the Swiss, other governments are very concerned about Europe's ability or potential to disrupt the global financial system and global economic growth in the months ahead.
I think the conclusion is that big decisions have to be taken. and the moment to take those decisions is now, not tomorrow.
That was it for the Credit Suisse Research Institute 2012 summer meeting. For the latest information and research, visit the website.